Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Vanessa Guyton, and I am the proud founder and executive director of Hush No More. Hush No More supports survivors when they're ready to come forward to share their story, to get resources, or just to have somebody to listen to. We also provide free training in our communities because I believe that awareness plus knowledge equals prevention. So, welcome to Hush No More Champions. This is the show that spotlights survivors and advocates and also nonprofit organizations who are doing a lot in our community. My goal is to ensure that we know what's going on so that we can get the information, be able to spread it to our families, and be able to heal. So that is what tonight is all about. So I'm about to bring on my guest.
We've had some really dynamic women on here. So just thank you so much for creating this space. I'm very grateful and humbled to be here.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
so who is Dr. Lorri? Dr. Lorri is um, a life coach. I am a Reiki master. Um, I am a mom. I'm a newlywed. Um, I'm a student of life. I'm a survivor of sexual assault trauma from early on in my childhood. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. I'm a good friend, and I'm just a lover of people. I love people, and I love loving on people.
You know, you're the first person that came in and actually talked about yourself from that standpoint of like a
Mm.
loving person, a good friend. Man, if we had more people that showed for love and kindness and was good to each other, we wouldn't even have to talk about the hush topics. We wouldn't even have
hmm
that problem.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's something that I'm almost annoying about, especially for people who follow my page. I talk about love all the time. I feel like it is something that you can never talk too much about. It's definitely something that we need more of in the world. And so, somebody asked me a few years back, I want to say probably about 7 or 8 years ago, they asked, when you leave here, when you leave from this side, what is the main thing that you want people to say about you? And I really, really had to think about that response. And as I meditated on it, I said, you know what, the main thing I want people to remember about me is that I was the person who showed love to people. And I was a person that made people just feel that frequency. It is the highest frequency that we have. And so everything that I do, everything that I say, it's just always my goal and my intention to allow it to allow this girl as well. And so I had a lot of, the big sister responsibilities, around the house and things like that. A lot of trauma in the home. Unfortunately, my father's brother and my mother's sister were both, um, they both have issues with addiction. And so as a result of that, my parents not only raised their four children, but they also assisted greatly in raising my three cousins. So as a result of that, it was just a lot of turmoil in the house, just from jump. And then when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I started being molested, sexually molested by an uncle. And so once that kind of came about, and once the family became aware of that, it caused even more trauma because a parent's natural response to hearing something like that is they want to remove their child away from what's causing the pain. And so even though that was a very natural response and understandable response, it caused more trauma because it also pulled me away from family, my support system, the people that I knew. Just a lot of pain, a lot of early suicidal thoughts, a lot of early um, self-injury behaviors like cutting and things like that. Um, and just a lot of pain. That really was my earliest memory. Really is associated with pain. And I think it's another reason, going back to that love piece. I think it's another reason why I make it my business to show love to people is because I have become so familiar with the frequency of pain. And so my belief has really become when you come to me, when you engage with me, I want you to feel something different. I want you to feel something other than what I have known in my childhood. Um, but even through all the pain, there was still so much love. There was still so much laughter in my household. A lot of laughter. We are a goofy bunch. Um, a lot of singing. My mother had a beautiful voice, so we always sit around and sing all the time. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Just a lot of it. A lot of
When you said that your parents separated you, what do you mean by after the trauma, after the molestation? Did they
it.
move you
Okay,
to a family member?
so I was moved completely into a whole nother city. So for a short while, I was kind of by myself, and I think my parents were just kind of trying to give me some space to heal. Um, but we moved to the Inland Empire, and as a kid, of course, now I know that it was only about 60 miles, but as a kid, it seemed like 3 or 4 states over. But um, but just that distance, of being away from my aunts and uncles and being away from my cousins, it was very traumatic. It was very traumatic, especially to move to a place from a place where my community was an African American community and some Hispanic community to an environment where it was primarily Caucasian. And so that was like huge culture shock. So not only was I moved away from what I knew and what I was accustomed to, but I was also just physically seeing something different and then experiencing a different type of a person. So it was a really interesting transition, to say the least.
But was it in efforts of for you to get counseling or really for you to remove you from the threat?
Definitely to remove me from the threat,
Remove you
for
from the
sure.
threat.
Yeah. So this particular family member, I'm very, very grateful to my father. Not that my mom didn't have a hand in it, but my father really kind of took the reins with this. And we actually did prosecute that family member. And as a result of his assault on me, he did end up serving about 19 years in prison. So it was definitely an effort to remove me from that situation for sure. Yeah.
I applaud your parents though for reporting it, for doing
Hmm.
something about it. I hear so often where parents don't. They'll tell you don't say anything, we'll handle it.
Hmm.
They don't want anybody to know the embarrassment. So I applaud your family because it's really hard to turn in another family member, even if they
Yeah.
do abuse your child. And so,
Yeah.
uh, but not to be able to heal from that. And I heard you say cutting. So I am meeting more African American women. I haven't really met any men that
Hmm.
have told me that they have experienced cutting. And I always thought that it was a Caucasian family thing. I didn't think
Hmm.
that our people did that. And I'm learning so much about trauma is that it has nothing to do with race. Like it really
Hmm.
has nothing to do with sex or what type of home you came from. When it comes to trauma, we all experience something similar in that pain
Very
that you
true.
just wanted to go away. So thank you for bringing that up and being transparent about the pain that you experience. So that is
Absolutely.
so important.
You know what? And it's interesting that you should even say that, Vanessa, because I'll be honest, I didn't even realize that that's what it was supposed to be called until well into my 30s. And just I had to think back and be like, oh, that's what I was doing. Like it didn't at that time, like it definitely didn't resonate with me that that's what that was. But once I got into the mental health field and I started learning different things about trauma, and so that's when I discovered that. So yeah.
Mhm. We don't talk about cutting, and we don't really talk about mental health, and it's such a hush
Hmm.
hush in our community, but we have to in order for us to heal. In order for the society to heal, we have to look at counseling in different ways, and that's why I'm really glad that you're here tonight because through it all that you've been through, you figured out ways to heal, which
Hmm.
pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
Hmm.
So, and I know
Yeah.
I have a lot of survivors of incest that are in our group. I have a lot of child molestation, you know, so it's really relevant, very relevant at this time.
It
So, for
really
you,
is.
how did you get to the point to say you needed to heal? Was there something that just said, I need to do something different? Did you just keep going.
Yeah.
And one day God came to you and said something. What was impactful for you to make that change?
We would be here a whole nother hour just discussing that piece alone. Good Lord. Oh my goodness. There was so many things. I want to say probably the first was even going back to that childhood part of my life. There was so much pain, but there was also a lot of low self-esteem. And when you have low self-esteem, it magnifies everything else for one, and it manifests in several different ways. And the main thing for me was talking, simply speaking. Not only the way that I spoke about myself, but just being able to talk to people. My self-esteem was so low that I didn't really believe that I had anything that anybody wanted to hear. I didn't feel like anything that I had to say was going to be as valid or as pertinent as, something that someone else would say. And so I had a problem with opening my mouth. Simply that. Um, I want to say the other thing that really, really seriously helped me see that I needed to really do some digging and really do some work on myself was definitely once I started having my girls. Um, and really coming into the awareness that a broke parent can't raise a whole child. And so, in order for me to raise a whole child, that means that I have to be that parent. Parent is an action word. I had to be that parent and I had to do the work and dig and fix some stuff and really get serious about who I was and how I came to be who I saw myself as at that time. And so, really, honestly, it was a lot of it was my girls, was just wanting to make sure that I wasn't passing on my junk, my trauma to them. I didn't want to do that. I am one, two, three. I'm the fourth generation to in my family of women to be sexually violated. And that hit me in a real special way. I was like, you know what? This has got to stop. This has got to stop. It stops here. But I knew in order I couldn't just. It wasn't enough for me to just say that. It wasn't enough for me to just want that. I had to put some action behind it and make some changes myself.
So, four generations of women. And I wonder if there were any men, right? Because our men don't really
Sure, there
talk.
were.
Our men don't talk about what goes on, and the women don't talk about it. So I am impressed that you know about four generations.
Hmm.
That's in itself. And you just hit me with. I'm going to use with your permission. A broke parent cannot raise a whole child. Oh, you just hit
Absolutely.
me with that one. I absolutely love that, and it's worth repeating. It's worth
Yeah.
repeating. So, and I feel the same way. Like I had to get it together too for my children. I had to go back and apologize because they struggle when I struggle.
Hmm.
You don't even realize what you're putting your children through when we're not
Oh yeah.
healed. Our children are right there with us and they see us hurting. So I agree with you 100%. And I'm
Yep.
really proud of you for recognizing that.
Thank you.
So, for those that want to know some tips and tricks, what do you do? What was it that you found out in all of your research and all of your hard work, your spiritual journey? What were some things that you found out that we can do to heal? Because first is recognizing that we got a problem, that we got some junk, as you call it. I call it mess, that we got some
Hmm.
mess going on. So first we got to identify that. But once we know that we're ready to heal and we're trying to get out of this dark space, what are some things that you have done that you've been successful with?
Okay, good question. I think the first thing is just to brace yourself. Brace yourself for the ride because once you make the decision to heal, um, the universe does something very interesting in that you will then be presented with opportunities to do just what you said you want to do. So you're going to have situations that are going to, for me, I had situations that came to me that required me to repair this voice, and finding it and using it. I always joke and say I think it's so interesting that that is the way that sexual assault trauma affected me and being a singer at the same time. I thought it was just such an oxymoron. But that was the first thing for me is just kind of brace myself. Um, and then over the years, I kind of developed because I work from a holistic space, so I'm addressing everything simultaneously. I'm a very, very big believer in that. So addressing the mind, body, and spirit at the same time. So for me, I had to come up with what I call the five shuns in order to be able to appropriately do that. And so these are things, just little tools that I've, incorporated into my every single day because I believe in doing something every day to heal myself, some piece of myself. So my five shuns are very simple. So the first one is meditation. And so meditation for people means different things. For some people it's prayer. For some people it's chanting. It can be a number of different things. And whatever it means to you, I encourage you to just flow with that and roll with that. Don't try to change it to make it look like somebody else's something. So for me, I say that prayer for me is me speaking to God and meditation is God speaking to me. So every day, just being very intentional about creating that space for me to commune with Most High. So meditation is the first shun. The second is motion. So every day, no matter what's going on, I don't care if it's just, a 2, 3 minute stretch, just doing something. Um, to move my body. I love hiking. I love being out in nature. It's a really great time for me to do the first shun and do some mindful meditation. But I love to hike. I love being out in nature. I love just doing nature walks and being around water and all kinds of things like that. So just doing things that cause my body to have to move. Okay, so that's motion. And then hydration. So, because I have learned so much about the elements and the importance of the elements and how they really have the ability to heal us, that water, that hydration has healing principles in it. And it's something very interesting that happens when you begin to hydrate yourself. It's like it does something to the mind where you don't really want to eat the junk. I have found that when I'm not hydrating well, my diet is also bad. But when I am hydrating well, I'm more likely to eat things from the earth, things that had a seed at some point. So that's hydration. And then one of my favorite is affirmation. So daily, I'm daily affirming different things about myself, about my life, about my children, about my business, about my clients, you know. And I even use my phone because I have like in my reminders just randomly all day long, just little affirmations that I've kind of picked up over the years or developed over the years. So I have one that usually pops up like first thing in the morning that says you're a millionaire. I have another one that pops up somewhere around 9 in the morning that says live simply. Another one, my favorite one, is you are happy, healthy, centered, and whole. So affirmations have really just become such a big part of my life and a part of my healing process. Just understanding that when I'm setting these affirmations, they might not be things that I see right now. So, like the I am a millionaire, my reality doesn't necessarily exhibit that, but I'm speaking that into my spirit. So, I think that's very, very important. So, that's affirmation. And then the last shun is confirmation. So confirmation all day long. I'm constantly looking for confirmation that I'm on the right path, looking for confirmation of the four previous shuns. If I'm looking at my face and I'm seeing a bunch of blemishes and stuff, that might be a confirmation that maybe you're not drinking enough water. So constantly looking for confirmation of the previous shuns as well as just confirmation that I'm giving that love, like we talked about earlier.
So I'm listening to you, and some of those things I do, and some of them I don't. I hate water. And so,
Okay. Okay.
I'm like,
That's
okay,
honest and true.
I gotta do better because I do not hydrate and my diet is really off. And so you have a great point that diet plays a big role in our mental health. And I know that. Like we know these things, but to do it in our life is something different. To
Mhm.
hydrate, to drink a lot of water. And it's so simple, right? It's the simple thing.
Mhm.
To exercise and move. I will tell you, I get lazy. Like I don't want
Mhm.
to get up and move in the morning. I want to stay in the bed. I don't want to have to get up and stretch. And my body
Mhm.
tells me sometimes when I get out of the bed that you should have stretched. Before you even took the first step. So I am
Right.
struggling with those two definitely, but they're simple. Everything
Mhm.
you said has been simple except for me, the meditation.
Okay.
So when you first started, and a lot of us struggle with meditation, right? And
Mhm.
I have gotten pretty good with it. Like I do a lot of guided meditation because my mind needs to be guided. Like it'll go into
Mhm.
a whole nother realm of what I got to do today, what somebody told me yesterday. So I have to stay focused on. How did you start meditating? Like what is something that people could do to really just start or to make it a little easier?
Well, for sure, guided meditations.
Okay.
If you are new to it, I believe that guided meditations is probably the best route for every reason that you just said right now, because it's very, when you're new to it, especially, it's very easy, for your mind to wander. And so, if you have that guide there, that is, their purpose is to guide you back to the meditation, back to the breath or the purpose of whatever the meditation is, then that helps, when you're starting out. I actually started. I want to say I started. You know what? How I started? I started from listening to an old YouTube video from one of my favorite spiritual mentors, Mr. Wayne Dyer. He has I think he calls it the Ah meditation. That is on YouTube, and the Ah meditation. Ah is like the sound that is synonymous with all of the titles of God, God, Allah, So the Ah meditation, and he kind of takes you through that guide, and I've been hooked for sure ever since. Now, of course, I started saying that my father was a Baptist preacher. And I started saying that prayer, is a part of that process for me. So I've always been doing some form of meditation. I would just say that over time, as I learn more and as I become more comfortable with it, it has just kind of taken on shape. Now I'm doing guided meditations myself for
I think
clients.
it's
So,
important to realize that you could do a minute, do as much meditation as possible for
yep.
you because it
Hmm.
can feel like an eternity when you first start.
Yes,
It feels like
absolutely.
you're doing it for like 20 minutes and you only did two. You know,
Right,
it's all
exactly.
I know. You look at your watch.
Right. And
So
you know what would be helpful too is there's a technique called mindful meditation. And we've been hearing this for years in the wellness community. And I'd like to highlight it because it's one of the easiest forms of meditation because it doesn't look the way traditional meditation looks, the way that, just kind of sitting crisscross applesauce kind of thing. Um, but mindful meditation, like I said, I can do that when I'm out on my hike, just mindful meditation is all about just being truly, truly in the moment, truly being present, truly listening. So I love to do this when I'm hiking because I will sit and I will, listen to the birds and listen as the wind is brushing past my ear. I'm feeling the air, the crisp air, going through my body and going into my lungs. So it's just all about being fully, fully present in the moment and getting the full experience. I do it again when I do my spiritual bath or spiritual showers. Last night we just had the pink full moon, so I did like a spiritual bath last night, and did some mindful meditations then as well. So I mean, you can. The thing with meditation is that I think kind of flips people up is we think that it has to look a certain way. But I just encourage anybody listening to make it your own, make it fit you, make it comfortable for you. Um, if you are wanting something that is guided, I have an app that I use from time to time called Balance. You can find that in the App Store called Balance. I think right now they're still running like their free promotion. So where you can get the app for free for like a year, I want to say. So that's a resource for you. And then on every Monday on my page, I do a guided Monday midday meditation and oral reading. So we start with meditation for about 10 minutes, 15 at the most, and then we go right into an oracle reading. So.
I like that. I have balance because I downloaded it for free.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so I do like that app. I'm not always consistent with it, but I'm doing a lot better with meditation. You mentioned a spiritual bath. Can you explain to the audience what's a spiritual bath? I absolutely love
Sure.
that. It's something that a lot of people don't know about
Hmm.
or how to use them. So what is a spiritual bath and what does that look like for you?
Sure. Okay. So here again, you hit the nail on the head. It's all about what it looks like for you. So I can tell you my experience, but I encourage you to incorporate what resonates with you and throw out what doesn't, and add some of your own stuff in there too. So a spiritual bath is just the way it sounds. It's you taking a bath, but setting a spiritual intention behind it. So really, that is the key element behind the spiritual bath, or any type of um, spiritual ceremonial act that you do. Is just setting that intention. So for myself, I set intentions for my business. I set intentions for my home life, and I set intentions also for me just as a person, and setting those intentions, kind of putting those on my heart. You can write them down if you'd like. I use crystals. There's never crystals that are that are too far from me. I have my crystals, and I just kind of line them around the bathtub. And these are just some of the tools that I use. I always keep a white candle around me just to signify purity and alignment and connection. Um, so I light a candle. I might sprinkle some herbs in the bath. I might have some rose petals in the bath. Um, and maybe, yeah, just whatever tools you feel guided to use in that moment. But understanding the power again behind the element of water. How the cleansing properties that come with it, and the power. People forget sometimes, I think, how powerful water is. Um, it's what sustains us. It's literally what sustains us. So taking a spiritual bath, just understanding that concept alone of just how powerful water is, can just solidify the healing properties behind the process. So just washing yourself and just submerging yourself in that water, until you feel intuitively guided to stop. You'll know within when the bath is over. A lot of people will use that time just to release. So for me, myself, whatever it is that I'm wanting to let go of, I will, with my mind's eye, just allow myself to imagine whatever that is, allowing it to just flow down the drain as the water leaves the bathtub, and just releasing it.
For me, my spiritual bath is to release negative energy. So same
Mm.
thing. If people get on my spirit, or a lot of other people trauma attaches to me. The sadness and hearing people's
Hmm.
story. So how can I remove that from me? I take a bath. And
Hmm.
I always, my base for me is Epsom salt. I love Epsom salt. I
That's
have a
it.
rose bush outside my house, so I go get fresh roses, put in my water, whatever I'm kind of led to.
Hmm.
Um, and I love the smell of cinnamon, so I'll put cinnamon in my water and just anything that makes me feel relaxed. And I light candles, and this is just my time. And we don't take enough time out for ourselves. That is a place of healing, and
It is.
just breathing. Sometimes we don't even take a bath. We just jump in the shower and go. We're so
Hmm.
fast now. Do you really just take a bath and submerge yourself as part of your healing journey?
Hmm.
I think that's so important, and a lot of people don't even see the relevance. But it is
Yeah.
important to cleanse yourself and to cleanse that negative energy as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned crystals. I love crystals and stones. Anything from the earth gets me moving. What is it? Can you explain to people what is the importance of crystals and just an overall of what they can do for people?
Sure. Okay, so the first thing that I always like to make listeners aware of is any tool that you use. I don't care what it is. Any divination tool, crystals, sage, Palo Santo, um, Florida water, anything that you use, any healing tool that you use, it's just a tool. That I cannot stress that enough. It is just a tool. The power lies within you. So, like in terms of my crystals, I understand and have connected to the power of each of them, but I understand that their power only amplifies mine. All of the healing principles that they have, they only amplify the healing ability that's already within me. So it's not like I'm getting my power from the crystals. It's just that the crystals are just amplifying and shining the light on what is already there. Um, that's the main thing that I really want to say about that. Each one has anything from the earth. I come from the belief system that everything is living. Everything. Um, everything has a beginning. You know, that's that metaphysical kind of side of myself. And I believe that things from the earth, our elements, have each of them have the ability to heal a certain part of you, and each crystal individually has its own healing principles behind it. Um, so just familiarizing yourself with what those principles are, trusting in that belief system that they do have healing principles, and then again, like I said, just making sure that we always keep it in the forefront of our minds that we are not getting our power from the crystals. They are just simply amplifying what we
I love it. So me, I always keep something on.
have.
Always. I wear them in my
Me too.
bra. Um,
Me too.
so, and that's just my way of connecting with earth and God. And I've heard people say, "Oh, you
Hmm.
worshiping something." I'm like, it's not that. It is
Oh,
just an energy that I really just enjoy thinking about something else at
hmm.
times and what they can do. And so amethyst is purple, which is my favorite color,
Hmm.
and it's for
We got some
addiction.
amethyst here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm going to always have amethyst on. And it's so important for me because I also know that it is a reminder of addiction for me.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, and that's what I use it for. And some people don't, it's very calming as well and give you energy. But I use it as a reminder of Vanessa, you got this. So that's,
Hmm.
you see me with amethyst, that is what it is because
That's
I'm
what it
in a
is.
journey of healing from alcohol, and I'm very open about that because I think that if we don't talk about the mess in our lives, we can't overcome them. We can't move forward when we don't
You
talk
better
about it.
say it.
So
Very
that is why it's so important for me. And I just really like that you figured it out for you, and we all have to figure it out for ourselves.
true.
It's
Hmm.
an individual journey of what we do. And like I love the moon. Oh, I could sit outside and watch the moon. I could sit outside and sit under the sun. The sun
Hmm.
actually helps you feel better. If you're going through depression, we always want to be isolated in our rooms with the blackout curtains, real dark and by ourselves. Sunlight in itself helps you heal from the inside. I promise you, if you go outside, you'll feel better. Something just as simple as that is something that I've added where I need sunlight. So if you
Hmm.
come to my house, now my bedroom's still dark. That's never probably gonna change. But I have a lot of sunlight that comes throughout my house where I keep my blinds open in certain areas of my house. So sun comes in and it really works. So I'm all about healing from the earth.
I'm right there with you. It's like the first thing that I do when I step out of bed in the morning is I go straight to the window. I go straight to the window and just try. Okay, all right, spirit, what we doing today? And just try and receive some of that vitamin D. Yeah, you're right. That it definitely the sun has a huge huge impact on our healing.
And we don't realize that we had the power in ourselves to heal.
Yeah. Mm.
That's truly healing from the inside out. We can do it. We just gotta
Hmm.
really want to.
Yep, that is very
Like,
true.
yeah. So I tell people, I don't tell nobody what to do. I
Hmm.
don't tell people to stop drinking. I don't tell them to stop doing drugs. I don't tell them to stop doing. You mentioned cutting. I'm not gonna tell nobody to stop cutting because it's this personal journey. When they're ready, they're gonna stop. And people will tell you, "Oh, you
Hmm.
need to stop drinking. You need to stop doing this." it's a personal thing that we got to go through on our own. And so, I can just tell you what I did, but it's up to you.
Yeah.
It's up to you to decide that. And I want to know, what is your perspective on people's personal journey of healing? I'm pretty sure it's probably something similar to mine, but when you're talking to people about where they are and how they can move forward, what do you normally say to them?
The first thing is for them to take it at their own pace. Take it at their own pace. It doesn't have to, our journey does not have to, nor was it ever meant to look like anyone else's.
Mm-mm.
It is absolutely all our own, you know. And I would tell someone to be loving to themselves as they go through it. That is something that I wish like everything that someone would have spoken into my spirit early on. Just to be loving, be easy with yourself. This thing, it can be a little rocky, especially once you start doing some of that shadow work, and really start seeing yourself for who you are, that real, honest, authentic piece of you. It can get a little sticky. So just through that process, just be easy on yourself. And definitely be honest. Be honest about what you feel. Be honest about what you're thinking. And know that whatever that is, it's all right. And it's all a part of your process. And the last thing I would say to that is it's always for your good. It's always for your good. I started saying early on a phrase that just kind of fell in my spirit, and that was that sexual assault did not happen to me, but it happened for me. And being intentional about changing and shifting my perspective to try and figure out, okay, this thing has happened, and and what is on the other side of that? Either I can choose to continue to sit in the victim seat, or I can choose to identify and align with it being a survivor. And I wanted to do that because all the other stuff, it wasn't feeling too good. It was not feeling too good at all. So I'm like, you know, getting to a space where you're brave enough, and I say that intentionally, where you're brave enough to look at the sexual assault from a different angle and figuring out, all right, how has this affected me? And now what? Now how can I make this thing work for me? And the way that it worked for me was, again, I have to go back to using my voice. The fact that I'm on here now is like amazing because 15 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting here. There's no way. There's no way I had not found my voice yet. So just make the journey your own. Remember that it don't have to look like nobody else's. It's gonna have some peaks and some valleys. There's gonna be some days where you're gonna feel like you really conquered this thing and like you are really rocking it. And then there's gonna be some other days when you be like, I was crazy for even trying. Um, but all of it is a part of your journey. It's all good. I say all the time, it's already all right. Already all right.
Changing your perspective is important, in your words. What you say about your life and about your just about yourself is so important to change that perspective. People ask me if I could do it all over again, would I erase the sexual assault? Probably not, because I'm walking in my purpose. I don't think so,
No doubt.
because I've changed the language behind my sexual assault. I've taken
Mhm.
control of it. I define what it means. I define how it affects me, and
Mhm.
I define how I share it with others, what I share, what I don't share. I think that's so important that I take control of that, and I encourage others to take control of that. And maybe not in the platform that I do, because I speak all over the world about it, but in your own way, what that looks like for you, take control back and change the way you look at your life.
Mhm.
You mentioned shadow work, and I will tell you, my mom thought it meant worshiping the devil. So I want you to explain what it means when a person says they're doing shadow work. What does that mean?
That's a great question, Vanessa. So shadow work, as I almost knock everything over here. Shadow work is very simple. It is just what I said. It's just taking a real honest look at you. It's those things that you don't talk about with other people. It's those things that when you think about it, you immediately want to erase it and don't want to deal with it. It's it's treating the store clerk in an ugly manner, and seeing that and addressing that. It is just being completely transparent, completely honest, completely authentic, and dealing with the ugliness. I I was joking with a client a couple weeks ago, and I told her, I said, as far as I'm concerned, it's not shadow work unless you ugly cry. If you don't ugly cry, if it's not that cry where you want to cover it up, that's not true shadow work. It is all of that ugly, gunky stuff that you push to the back of your mind. It's bringing it to your consciousness and saying, okay, this is who you are. All right, let's deal. Let's go.
Let's fix this. I call it my why.
Mm,
Why am I behaving this way? Why am
mm,
I depressed? Why am I crying? Why did I let that bother me? Nobody cares what they
mm,
think, so
mm,
but I could go back and trace why. It answers so much about me. And so, and when my daughter told me to work, my daughter is real big on shadow work. And I'm like, yeah, she's like, you got to start at the bad stuff in your life, the stuff that just don't make sense, and go and try to figure it
mm,
out. And so I look at it as this is my why. Why was I drinking? Why was I depressed and didn't want to socialize?
mm.
And now when I can find an answer to that, and sometimes you don't always get an answer, but you can feel a little bit more better about it,
Yeah.
then I can move forward. I could say, well, I responded this way because of, and I have to be transparent with myself. And people lie to themselves all the time. I lied to myself.
Mhm.
That I was okay. You can't. You cannot heal if you lying to yourself. If you put on
That's
that daily
so
mask and
true.
feel like everything is okay.
Yeah,
You can't. So
yeah.
you don't let the wall down, take that mask off, and the ugly cry. When you wake up in the
Mhm.
morning, you like, woo, you start pulling down your eyes.
Right. Let me get some cucumber over here. Like, yes, it gets deep. It gets real deep. But the B part of that is, and the beautiful part of that is in doing the work. In doing the work, it gives you that wonderful opportunity to respond different and to learn to be somebody else, and learning to be a more authentic part, a more authentic version of you. That's you know that's the juicy part of it. Like that, at least for me, like I've learned to, when I see it coming, I have learned to really rejoice. And I know that that might sound so odd, but I promise you, it's my truth. When I see adversity, when I see an issue, somebody trying to give me the drama or whatever it is, I have learned to rejoice in that moment, because this is an opportunity to do some of that shadow work and really figure out who I am. And like I said, just be able to teach myself to be somebody different. So when you get on my nerves and you trigger me, I might give you a little piece of myself, but somewhere really close to that, I'm giving thanks. I'm giving thanks for that moment. I'm grateful for that person in that moment, because you just gave me an opportunity for me to now be a better me, a more authentic me.
So that's interesting. I have never done that. Like, you don't piss me off. I'm not thanking, for this moment that you done pissed me off and I overcame it. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. But
Nothing like it ain't
I
happening.
respect that. Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm following you. I can feel that. Can I
I
implement
mean,
that in my life?
you know what it is? I have gotten, and this might sound arrogant, so forgive me in advance. I have got addicted to healing. Like I've gotten addicted to that feeling. Um, I love it. I love discovering different pieces of me. I really do. I dig it so much, and I really do. I get excited when I get annoyed with something. Like that turnaround time for me has gotten shorter and shorter and shorter, because I'll get annoyed, but very quickly I'm moving to the space of, okay, where can I learn from this? Like what's happening here? What's coming next? And I get so hyped about it. So. I
Now
know it
I do
sounds
try to
moldy,
find
but
a lesson, and maybe I need to be
yes.
more grateful and thankful. But I do look for the
Hmm.
lesson. But I'm going to take in some of that what you just said. My mom like, you got to be able to pray for people. You got to be able to move past it. And I feel like I'm not praying today. Like
But you're right though, Vanessa. We got to do that in our own time, though. You know
we
what I
do.
mean?
And I'm working on it. I won't
Yeah.
sit here like I got it all together. Healing is a lifelong journey.
Ma'am.
It is a
Yep.
journey. And so I learn more about myself every day and I work on it. Like I was excited for you to come on so I could learn more about myself and
Mm,
grow. And so I'm like, I'm not looking at it like that. But I will try it. I most
I love
definitely
it.
will try that. I will.
I love that. I love that.
Because I'm looking
Well,
for
I mean, that's what this thing I believe is all about. The tagline for my company is where healing happens every day. And I chose that intentionally because I knew that in choosing that I had to make sure that I aligned with that. In order to sell that, I have to make sure that I am that, right? Again, there goes that authenticity. So I believe that we have to incorporate some form of healing into every single day and be looking for the opportunities to grow.
Susie said it takes her time to look for the lesson. The
Susie, I
lesson
ain't
is
mad
there.
at you, girl. I
Yeah,
ain't
the
mad at
lesson is
you.
there.
And
You don't always
it's
see it
nothing
right
wrong with
away.
that.
You
Right.
don't always see it.
And that's fine. That's
You
fine. As
said
long
that
as you're looking for it, you'll see it.
as long as you're looking for it, you'll see it. Jamaica
Hmm.
said that she's been struggling with healing from abuse and she's tried a lot of things that nothing helps. So, Jamaica, I hope that you've learned something today that you can try to implement. Some of it might be for you, some of it might not be, and that's for everybody. You could just
Yeah.
try a little bit of it because we're proof that it works. It
Yeah.
definitely works.
Yeah.
So, we're coming to the end, Dr. Lori. And I
Aw.
want to know, was there something that you wanted to share? Do you want to tell us about your business? um, Anything that you got coming up, because I
Sure.
think that you really can help a lot of people. So, what do you have going on?
Sure. Well, first know that that is always my intention. That's always my goal is just to be a blessing. That's all I ever want to do. So I actually have a couple of things coming up. So first, my business is called Still Whole Wellness. And so every month we do a couple of different events. So this Thursday, actually, we have our Healing Talk Circle, and that is a time for people, men or women, to just come in there and whatever it is that you are dealing with that day, we're just building community there for everyone to be able to chime in and be centered in being a blessing to each other. So I really like that group because it's not just me talking, it's not just my perspective. It is very much a group effort. It's very much a community there. So that's the Healing Everyday group. You have to be a part of that Facebook group in order to participate in that particular circle. And then once a month, also at the first Saturday of every month. So this May 1st, we'll be doing the Women's Wellness Circle, and that is a beautiful event because I get to host that event with my sister girl, RD Walters, who is absolutely amazing. And so there we have topics every single month. We will present a topic. Each of us will present from our own perspective, and then we open it up towards the end for everyone to be able to kind of share and talk and ask questions if they like. So that's the Women's Wellness Circle. Is the next one is May 1st, and the registration for Eventbrite, you can find that on my website or on my Facebook page. And then the next big event I have is coming up May 15th, and that is the Holistic Wellness event. And I'm super excited about that one because it is all women healers. So I'm like super stoked about this one. We've opened it up in the past to the gentlemen, but this one is all about the ladies. We're all coming together, operating in our own specialties and just really just having the heart to come and heal the people. Um, so that event is May 15th. It's from 8 o'clock in the morning until 12 in the afternoon. There are a ton of free events throughout the day that you can attend. and then some private sessions that are some are by donation, some are free, and then some have a set price. That first hour from 8 to 9, we're going to be talking. It's going to be kind of like that healing circle again, where participants can come and just ask any questions from any of the vendors as they feel. Um, so 8 to 12, and oh, and the biggest thing is the by your registration of that general admission ticket, you are automatically entered into a drawing to win a ton of different prizes, and our biggest prize is that $100 cash prize. So you can literally not pay anything to attend this event and attend several different workshops throughout the day and potentially win $100. Where else can you do
Right.
that?
I love it. I love that you do things all about healing, all about just
Hmm.
growing from the inside out.
Yes,
That is so important. And for my Christians, my religious people, it's all about God. So
yes,
we're
ma'am.
always, it's not nothing against. So everything that I do, I could find it in the Bible.
You
So
better say
I
it.
had to point that out to my mom, and she was like, "What do you mean healing?" But it's through our spiritual, through our God, whoever God
Yes.
that you may serve, your higher power, whatever you call your higher
Hmm.
power. That is all about the healing process, and
Yes,
that is so
it is.
important for people to understand that and don't shy away from this because just because it's different doesn't mean that it's wrong. Doesn't mean
Exactly.
that I will tell you, I can have some family members that be like, "Well, you worship the devil." No, I pray to God every day.
It's
That's a
funny
whole other
we.
topic. People will prevent you from healing by using negativity against you, and so I don't
Mhm.
want people to look at that. I want you to look at healing does take place from the inside, and it's really big that you start with your higher power,
Yeah.
prayer and that meditation, and listen to that, and listen to that natural walk for you, what it looks like for you.
Hmm. And you're so right, Dr. Vanessa. I've received some of the same criticism. I know that my family being very religious, I know that there's a lot that they see me doing that they don't understand,
Right.
um, because it looks so different from what we grew up, knowing and learning about. But I will say this, and some people might have a problem with it, but God bless your heart if you do. There was a time in my life when I didn't even want to be here. Okay? So if the things that I am doing now, although they have different names, same things, same God, same energy, they may look a little different. I might use a different terminology. But if this form of spirituality is what is helping me want to stay here, then why do you have anything to say about it? Like, seriously, why would it even be an issue? Let people be. Just please let people breathe and heal in the way that feels best for them. And just allow people to walk their path. Show
I'm
love.
You just sum that up so well, but I'm gonna say just stay out of people's business. Sometimes our healing is prevented because of others. And
Yes.
I am happy. So if you can't help me maintain my happiness or enhance it in some type of way, then I need to move on. And so part of
Yeah.
moving from the inside is moving from those people that are not pouring into you, that are not pulling
That
you up, that
chatter.
are all the negative things to say. You
Yeah.
cannot heal with those people in your life. And
Yeah.
so that is really one of the major things that you have to do as well. And I hope that you
Yeah.
do that and you work on yourself and ignore what people have to say. People don't like what I do. I don't even care anymore. God bless you. Peace and blessings. I tell everybody, peace and blessings.
Exactly. Exactly. God bless your heart.
Gotta
Uh,
move. I gotta move
yeah,
away
because
from
I gotta do what feels right for Lori. I have
yeah.
to. I've done it other folks' way long enough, and in the bottom line is it just wasn't working. I had to put my own stank on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If it takes you going to
absolutely.
the hospital, getting counseling, do what you gotta do for you. Don't listen to other people because other people will
Yes,
prevent you from healing from the inside out.
yes,
I promise you that.
absolutely.
So
It
thank you
will.
for such a great discussion. It
Thank
has truly been an
you
honor
for having
and
me.
to talk to you. It's so cool.
You're
So
so
you have
amazing,
heard
Dr.
from you heard from the amazing Dr. Lorri Pitts. She is so knowledgeable. Her company is Still Whole Wellness. I love the name of it because we are still whole and we are continuing to get well. It's a journey that we have to take. So check
Hmm.
out her website. Check out the different events in the women's circles that she has, the
Hmm.
groups that she has. Peer to peer is very, very successful. So I hope that you all really check it out because it can make a difference in your healing walk.
Hmm.
Thank you for joining Hush No More. I do want to tell you all that Hush No More Champions is here every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then it's uploaded to our podcast and also our YouTube channel. So Hush No More Champions is a podcast. It is a YouTube channel. You can follow on those as well if that's just your preference. Next week, we will have Melinda Gilroy on the 4th, and she's going to talk about putting the pieces back together. How did she put it back together? Because her life was messed up, and a lot of us are broken. So how can we get it back together? On the 11th, Arthur Mitchell is going to be here talking about disabilities and how it does not affect your abilities, right? And sometimes, even after trauma, you're suffering from disabilities, but you can move forward and heal. Jesse is going to be here on the 18th talking about alcohol and trauma. Like we had, that's going to be
That's
a
gonna be
discussion.
juicy.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
We talk about alcohol and drugs and how it's affecting us. On the 25th, Dr. Liza Jones is going to be here. She's going to talk about joining the fight to Hush No More. How do we do that? How do we heal from our trauma? And part of that is by using our voice, as Dr. Lorri said, finding your voice and joining the fight so that we can eliminate a lot of the trauma that is going on in our communities. You can also join us every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for art therapy. You do not have to be an artist to participate. We would love for you to join us. And just follow us on social media, find more events and information, and find a place that we're just here to listen. We're just here to listen. And if you're writing any poetry, if you are a poet, please go to our website, www.hushnomore.org, and apply to add your poem in the Hush No More poetry book. We are working on that now. We're looking for individuals who share their work so that we could just motivate people through a healing process. Writing for me is very therapeutic. I love to write. And so join me in sharing my poetry. And you can follow us on all the social media platforms and contact us at 1-888-285-2161. And we're always here. So peace and blessings to you all. Thank you for tuning in. And I hope that you share this with somebody that you know, because there's a lot of us out here that are hurting, that need to heal from the inside out. And we just need some tips. So you got some good tips tonight. So thank you, Dr. Lorri. Peace and
Thank
blessings
you.
to you all.
Peace and
And
blessings
it
to
is
you.
truly a great space to be in.